Hello and welcome back to the channel for another video. There has been some information that has been released about Josh Moran, and it relates back to the Mars Argo lawsuit, or more specifically Poppy's statement that she made. Now, back when the lawsuit was going on, Poppy made a statement, and it mentioned, or it showed, some court documents to do with someone called Joshua Moran. Now, more research kind of showed that they were friends at one stage, and I'm not sure if the photos were online at the time, but there was photos of Josh with Titanic and with Poppy. Poppy said in her statement that she had been through abuse herself and that Mars had been working with the person who had abused her. But that turns out to not be true. And this was the case, or this was thought to be the case, quite early on. It falls apart in part because Mars had never worked with Josh Moran. There were photos of them kind of together, but not together, but they were at the same place. And that was just about the only piece of solid evidence, and there wasn't anything else that was really presented that I remember, at least. I'm sure if I'm forgetting something, or if I forget something in this video, that you'll let me know in the comments, because I'm doing this off the top of my head, and sorry if it's not 100% correct. If it's not, then I take full responsibility. Also, just before we move on, I've mentioned in the past few videos about the Poppy interviews, and I finally listened to the Boo Crew interview, and I have decided that there's nothing really of interest in there to make a video on, although the timeline is kind of interesting, but it doesn't give us any more information that we didn't already know. So, back to Josh Moran. Now, with the new information that has come to light, there's been a court transcript, there has been both full statements, I believe, from Poppy and Titanic, or Mariah and Corey, as they're also known. Josh Moran had worked with one of the people who currently plays in the Poppy band, called Chris Grietti. And I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's how I always pronounce it. And if that's how I always pronounce it and it's wrong, then I always butcher it. Like I butcher Ghost Main. But the statements came from a video that was also shown when Poppy put out her statement of Moran beating up Sinclair. Now, out of context, this looks kind of bad, and the initial thought was that he was doing it to protect Mars, because there was the rumors in Poppy's statement that they had worked together, so therefore people were like, well, he must know Mars, and so he was doing that because Corey had done something to Mars. That was the general consensus from what I remember. And then the court documents just kind of take it to another level, and they are even more fictitious than what was initially said. Now, I'm not just saying that they're fictitious for the sake of it, and I'm not just saying that Josh Moran said, well, no, that didn't happen. Josh Moran offers evidence, and that has been seen in another YouTuber's video, and it will be linked in the description below. There's quite a bit here that I'm not mentioning, I'm just kind of skimming through a fair bit of it. But what I generally want to talk about in this video is something that hasn't exactly fully been mentioned, which is the chance of another lawsuit. Now, the rumor was going around last week-ish, I think, that there was going to be another lawsuit, or potentially another lawsuit. Now, since this has come out, I am guessing that the person who would instigate the lawsuit would be Josh Moran and against Corey and Mariah for slander, potentially, and that would seem to be very valid, and it would be interesting if that were to happen. More about that in a second. There were also videos. There was one where Corey actually smashed the wine glass. The photos from the lawsuit, or the photo from the lawsuit. Actually, I do think that was two. Where there is a smashed wine glass on the ground.
Hey Brett, what's your Facebook?
I'm not sure what it's called.
What's it called?
I'm not sure.
Oh really? What's it called?
I'm not sure.
What's your Facebook?
That's now public and it's being shared by pages and stuff, and that's all going around. And there's another one where he goes on to talk about Bournes. If you don't know, last year I think Bournes was involved in controversy himself. I made a video about that. It's a long story and I don't want to go into it in this video. But back to the main topic of the video, which is Josh Moran and the potential for a new lawsuit. It turns out that if you look into it, this new video and this new evidence and stuff that wasn't presented before shows that the documents were deliberately cropped to suit a certain narrative. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that was said in the court documents that was also disproven, and Titanic also seemed to steal the idea for trust fund, although it was his idea. Josh Moran had paid for the idea, and it was being used for one of his songs, and Sinclair decided to essentially take the idea for his own and wasn't done with Moran. It's also my understanding that Josh Moran has a new project coming out, and so there's a chance that he wanted to clear his name before that happened. He has every right to do that, and I mean, fair enough on his part. I just hope that it doesn't stop at this. I hope that there's not just, well, here's this disproven, because then nothing will really be gained from it. There won't be a learning experience for Corey or Mariah. I don't feel comfortable saying that Corey decided to drag Mariah into it. I feel that she has her own personality and she's her own self, and that if she didn't want to also file a court order thing, then she wouldn't have done so. It's also stated in the document that herself and Corey, Titanic, were dating at the time, which is interesting, but I'm not sure about the legitimacy of that. I mean, in context to the document, a lot of the document, it seems, was false and was disproven, even in court. Both of these court things were, I think one was dismissed and one was thrown out, or something like that, but nothing came of either of them. Poppy didn't show up and Titanic's was dismissed, or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but that's the general idea. I'm not that good with specifics. And so yeah, I also don't think that this would have anything to do with them splitting, Mariah and Corey, but who knows really. Anyway, I just wanted to have a ramble on for a bit. As I've said in recent videos, thanks so much for the support. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you never want to miss an upload, and I'll see you soon for more content. Don't forget, there's probably going to be a whole bunch of new stuff or whatever. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Twitter's the best place to get updates on what's happening in Poppy and Mars Argo universe if you're not following any fan accounts or whatever. Sometimes people in my comments let me know before I've seen stuff. because Poppy has me blocked on Instagram and Twitter, so that avenue of communication is also a bit blocked currently. Poppy also released a teaser for her new song, Feel the Crowd. Thanks for watching and peace.